So let's now cover this topic, destructors. So constructors are used to construct the objects or initialize the objects with some values. But when you call a constructor, it will initialize the value. That means that the values will get stored in the memory. So let's suppose you have created a constructor student, and now what you are doing is you are initializing this value as we have done earlier. So in this line we have assigned a value to the the private member of the class. So this value will get stored in our main memory. So it will occupy some space in our memory. So roll number will occupy some space in this memory. So whenever you will call a constructor, and how you can call a constructor is by creating objects. So whenever an object is created, a constructor will be called and it will initialize the value. When it will initialize the value, the values get stored in the main memory. So when these are stored in the main memory, this will remain in the memory. So what we now want to do is we want to destruct them. That means we do not want them to be inside the main memory, because if it will be in the main memory, no more variables can occupy this space. So if we don't need this one, so let's suppose our program is exiting, or let's suppose our program has done its execution. So we will have to call a destructor, and a destructor is used to destruct values. And by destruct means it removes it from memory, thus making it free. So every time you are creating a constructor, you will have to call a destructor. And how you can call a destructor? It's simple. Destructor is created using this operator, and you will have to use the name of the class, and then this is a function, and then you can just write here destructor called, or you can just write destruction. So the reason why destructor is called is to free the memory that the constructors have used. So they are basically a good practice in the programming. If you are constructing values, if you are using constructors in your program, you can call a destructor of that constructor. So to destruct values, we do not need to put any parameters in them. There is no parameterized destructor. You will just call this destructor. You will have to use this operator, and then the name of the class followed by two parentheses, and then in it you can just write some program, or you can even do some initialization here also. You can even call some function at this point. So the construction and the destruction. So we have studied constructors and destructors. So the construction of objects is done like this. So let's suppose the programmer has created first object, and then the programmer will create the second object, and similarly let's say programmer will create another object, S3. So a constructor will be called in all these cases, but in all these cases it will be a default constructor, so it will not make a much difference. But if I call a parameterized constructor in all these cases with some different random values, so these are just random values, so now the construction will be like this. First this will be constructed, then this will be constructed, and then this one. By constructing we mean initializing. So first, when you are writing these lines, the first line will create the object S1 first. So the constructor S1 will be called first, and then the second constructor will be called, and similarly the third one. But when you will call a destructor which has syntax like this, it will first destruct the value S3, and then S2, and then S1. So this is how it will free the memory space. So first the destructor will be called by S3 object, and then the S2, and then S1. So you can think of this whole procedure as making of a building or a construction of a building. So if you want to construct a building, what you will have to do is you will create the first floor, then the second floor, and then the third floor, and so on. So if you want to construct, you will first create the first floor, not the last one. So it's similar working here, just like the real life concept. So if you want to destruct, like if you want to destruct this one, first you will destruct the last floor, and then the second last, and similarly this one, and like this. So the destruction is in the opposite behavior. So in this way, constructors and destructors are used. Destructors are basically used to make memory free. So they are simple. You do not have to do anything much in it. And in constructors, we have discussed all the three types of constructor: the parameterized, and the copy constructor, and the default constructor. And we have also seen how construction of objects take place, and how destruction, or you should say how destructing the initialized objects take place. So thanks for watching.